Generations of waterfowl. The reason we're doing this, my friend and I, Jeff, believe that there's some things that people need to hear, they need to understand, and they need to appreciate over the waterfowl history. We're going to have a lot of laughs. We're going to tell a lot of stories, unfortunately. I don't know if they're going to be good, they're going to be bad, but at least somebody's going to laugh at the stories. And we're going to share what I call the experience. And Jeff and I have framed this. Our catchphrase is the experience. Basically, I think at our age and older waterfowls, I think we've all become accustomed to, what is this for us? This is an experience. It's become an experience the older you get. And I think the longer you do it, the more you realize what that experience truly is. And I think during this podcast, which we know nothing about and we're trying to build our own, we're going to learn a little bit about a perspective from different people. The perspectives are going to come from different age groups, different classes, different genders, different types of hunters, whether you're a public hunter, whether you're a private lease hunter, whether you're a landowner. We're going to talk about it all. And I think what we're going to try to do really hard is try to show everybody there are many perspectives of waterfowling, and they aren't necessarily a one-way street. I think over time, the older guys have taught us, look back, look at what we've seen, enjoy the experience, and remember it only actually gets better. And I think it does get better. I think the old ways work, I think the new ways work, and I think the future ways are gonna work.
I think the old ways worked better. I mean,
well,
you could bait. You used live ducks. They used punt guns.
Okay, so
People made a living out of hunting ducks.
I can't argue that, but in a humorous kind of way, that did work.
No, it worked.
Yeah, it did work.
If you could make a living hunting ducks, I mean, think about it. When do the ducks migrate? They're going through twice a year. And these guys lived off of that.
Well, I think the older guys got to enjoy some things that we never got to enjoy. And I think if we do this right, Jeff, I think we're going to have people on here that are going to be able to share that experience of what you're laughing about, what we're talking about. And people other than us are going to see it. And I want the viewers to know, this is not about selling you something. This podcast is merely to give you a perspective from different points of view. I've watched hours of these podcasts, and I can tell you, from my opinion, everything is about selling you something. They want to sell you a better way to hunt. They want to sell you a product. They want to sell you something. I don't intend to sell you anything. I intend to provide an experience. I'm hoping that a lot of people watch this. I hope they join, and I hope they subscribe. I don't know if they will, but I guess we're going to learn after tonight because it's our first deal. This podcast is only going to get better. As we get better at this, we're going to be able to project a better experience for everybody that's watching it. I think that a lot of people are going to realize that we're really new to it, and they're going to accept our humorous ways, which are good in today's society. We won't be woke, so if anybody's woke, they need to check out now.
Last chance.
Last chance right now. So that's up to you guys. So I want to talk a little bit about the podcast itself, who we are. I want to talk about what we're trying to do. Hopefully people will relate to this. And we don't have a genre. I'm not looking for a specific genre to market this in. I'm looking very broadly because at our mid-50s, Jeff and I have had the privilege, and I use the word privilege very seriously. We've had the privilege to spend time with the older generation hunting with them when we were kids. When we were kids. Our dads and our grandfathers did this, and they enjoyed an experience that Jeff and I have yet to experience. We've yet to actually experience that because it takes time. It takes time to go through all this stuff. And we went through all the phases that we're going to talk about tonight. So let me introduce ourselves. I'm Rick Schmidt. I'm from Columbia, Illinois. I have been waterfowling since I was 10 years old. I have been waterfowling in different capacities. I have public hunted. I have leased land with family. We currently own land with family. We've gone through the whole gamut of the different variations of waterfowling. We've tried different things. We've worked at different ways. We have enjoyed every bit of what I just showed you, and it's all changed over time. This is my best friend of 41 years, and to be honest, till tonight, we took the chance to look at how long that was. I don't think either one of us actually realized it was 41 years, but we do, in fact, know it was a long time.
Long time.
Long time. And I can tell you, where I stand, this may sound extremely strange to the viewership, but in 41 years, I think Jeff and I can count on two hands how many times we've actually hunted together. And the reason for that's not as obvious as most people think. My friend Jeff hit on it when we were talking about this. He knew his experiences with his family was deep. He knew where he was going was good. He protected that. I did the exact same thing. We protect all those things because it's our perspective and it's what we're trying to do. And I don't know, Jeff, I don't know how you feel about it, but I think it's a blessing that we haven't spent that much time in the blind together because our experiences are going to make this podcast really fun for everybody watching.
It is, and you always have good stories to tell me.
Yep.
You know, stories that I wasn't there to witness, and I got stories to tell you. So, I mean, there's always good stuff. And by the way, I guess I was supposed to introduce myself. I'm Jeff Sukup, longtime Ducks Unlimited guy, past chairman. Can't say enough good stuff about the volunteers who do that stuff. Anybody that makes a duck, you're my buddy. Back to the generations. I'm just going to throw this out here, guys. Take an old guy duck hunting. You'll get, if you can find an old dyed-in-the-wool duck hunter that's too old to go, that you can drag out there, you will get stories like you have never heard. You'll be on the bottom of the blind rolling and laughing. Everybody's done something silly. Everybody's done something. They fell in. They lost their gun. There's just a ton of good times and good stories. And hopefully by listening to the podcast, you're gonna laugh, we're gonna laugh, and hopefully you have a good time.
And I think, Jeff's really onto something because both of us have had the experience of getting to hunt with older people, the old guys, he calls them, and that's the truth. They're the old guys. We've also had the opportunity to hunt with the young guys. And there's no doubt the young guys can hunt. They know how to hunt. They have more energy than anybody else. They're to the grind. They're going to hit the ground running. They're going to hunt ducks till sundown. They're going to do their thing. And I think the more we look at this, the more we're going to see a change in them as they develop and they age. They're going to start to realize some of the things we're going to talk about in this podcast, which is the sport of this. At a certain age in your life, this becomes a sport. It becomes from running to gunning to a sporting event. You're doing something for the sport of it. You're enjoying the sport of duck hunting. I think as you age and you change a little bit, you start to meld that a little bit and you start to realize, holy shit, I've seen some things over the past 20, 30 years, 40 years in some cases, that are amazing. I've personally, and I hope Jeff has seen the same thing, and I think he has, otherwise we wouldn't be sitting here. He's seen some unbelievable sunrises in perfect weather. He's seen some sunrises in some of the weather you just wish, why the world did anybody go out in that?
I've had some sunrises where I sat on the boat ramp and waited till it got light.
And those are the experiences we're going to share with everybody. And we're going to invite the viewers to share their experiences, because everybody who hopefully is going to like this and watch this is going to share some experience they've had in doing this. And real quickly, it's important to know that Jeff and I are not professionals in any manner. We have day jobs, but we're pretty serious duck hunters. We're not duck hunting guides, but we do in fact know how to manage land. We know how to duck hunt. We believe in the sport. We believe in the evolution of the sport, and we believe in the future of it coming. And Jeff has really drilled down on that by saying this membership in Ducks Unlimited or any other volunteer organization really is advancing the sport of this and the experience to bring to the hunters. And I think from where we come from in the Midwest, we're from the Midwest, by the way, so just so everybody knows, we're all from, both of us are from the state of Illinois. And I think it goes without saying that, the state of Illinois, while it might not be the total duck mecca of the country, it is certainly a mecca in our own world. What we've got to experience, Jeff and I, is something that very few people get to do in their lives. They get to experience public ground for a while, they get to lease ground for a while, they've owned ground for a while, and you've seen everything in the middle. And that brings a lot of experience and situations to hand, whether they're funny, whether they're just plain fucking frustrating, or whether they're great. I mean, there's been days.
There's been a little bit of all.
There's been a little bit of all. I can honestly say that I have had days where I have done nothing but laugh my ass off and not fire my shotgun one time. And I have had days where I want to use my shotgun for reasons it's not intended to because I'm frustrated. And then I've had days I've walked out. I may have killed 4 ducks, but I had an extremely great experience. The experience was wonderful. And we're going to bring those perspectives and experiences to this viewership that watch it. So what we want to do is we want to play on one another. If you guys, some people that watch this know us, most of you will not know us. But here's what I can tell you that most people say. We're extremely good at playing off one another. We can start a conversation and it's very interactive because of our experiences together or separately, which can make it serious or it can make it laughter. So you're going to find out in this podcast, it really is truly the two of us playing off one another from perspectives. Jeff has brought a list of guests that are going to be on this podcast, and their experience levels are amazing. The people he's bringing to the table are amazing, and you know, I'd like for him to just speak just a couple minutes about just a couple. It's not going to be everybody, but a couple of the people he's going to bring to the experience, and let him tell you what he's bringing to the table while I enjoy my beer.
There you go. So here's what we got planned. We're going to get you some Ducks Unlimited guys. We're going to get you some young guys. We're going to get you some old guys. I thought we'd maybe even throw a bird hunter into the mix because, you know, hey, they're hunting the same ground we are.
Yep.
That's kind of my goal. We'd like to be entertaining. We'd like to be funny. Eventually, we'd like to get to where you can call in and talk to us while we're having the podcast.
Yep, I think a live deal is good.
We'd like to talk to all the big product makers and get their perspective on this, why they make these items like this, who's the best, whose opinions, you know, matter, what does everybody think the best ammunition is? What does everybody think the best shotgun is?
Okay, you brought some good subject right there. I'm going to just leap in and we're going to play off one another. So, part of this podcast is because we are duck hunters. We don't play duck hunters, we are duck hunters.
Absolutely.
We use equipment, we abuse equipment, and we certainly know what is going to last the day and what isn't. Now, are we trying to sell you something? No. But we are trying to tell you that if you enjoy waterfowling as many days as we do, and a lot of the viewerships do, you know one thing. Your shotgun, in somebody else's words, not mine, has to go boom, boom, boom.
Let me stop you right there because I got a question for you. What shotgun can make it from teal season, early goose season, duck season, Canada season, snow goose season?
Okay, do I have to clean the fucking thing?
None of them do.
All right. Well,
you're good. It doesn't matter on the gun. You're going to replace parts. Things break. You're wearing the shirt.
Do I have to maintain it?
To some degree.
Do I have to care about it?
Where I hunt, you have to maintain it.
Do I have to love it?
You have to love it.
Okay. Well, he's talking about products we believe in. I think we can all look at my shirt and figure out what he means. But the reality of it is, not every duck hunter can buy a Benelli. However, at some point in their lives, they do understand the value of a Benelli. You become, and I learned it. I mean, I truly learned this value, not because I'm selling Benellis or have anything to do with it, but I learned what's behind the magic. And what's behind the magic is a piece of equipment that you can rely on.
Yep.
I mean, mostly my perspective of things, I hunt all day. I get up early, I hunt. I use my equipment. I finish at the end of the day. I'm lazy. I'm not going to lie. I put my gun in the gun case, I ignore it till tomorrow when it's time to hunt again. I treat my equipment just like I do my gun. Now, some people are going to go, ooh, that's not good. They shouldn't be doing that. But, you know, the reality of it is it doesn't matter whether you're an old guy, whether you're middle-aged like us, or you're a young guy. Waterfowlers are hard on equipment. They kick them around. They drop them off of UTVs. They throw them in the middle of the morning. They throw them onto the ice. They bust ice around them. Sometimes they get frozen.
Sometimes they bust ice with them.
Sometimes they bust ice with them. I won't say that I've used my shotgun to do that, but sometimes people bust ice with them. It can happen.
It's happened.
I'm not going to lie. So if I told you I never did that, that would be a lie.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure you might say the same. So what brought the two of us together is not our friendship, because we have been friends regardless of a podcast. What brought us together was the ability to share an experience that most people just don't get to see. And I had an aha moment, Jeff, and I wanted to tell you what really drove a lot of this. So last fall, in our area where I hunt, was considered one of the driest, worst duck seasons on record. So I chose to spend the fall just doing work around the farm. It was time, water wasn't up. I had equipment in there. I could work, I could do this, I could do that. And we were watching it like going, okay, typically around Christmas, there's going to be some rain no matter what you do. We got some rain. Didn't give us the water we expected, but it gave us water. It gave us enough water to duck hunt. And the ducks were there. They were there. They just weren't using our place until we had that water. We had limited places to hunt because of the water. So what it did for me was it made me zero in on making the experience good for anybody that comes. And just so you know, Jeff hunts private ground. I hunt private ground, and those experiences they're mostly private, to be honest. They're not shared with the general public. So in this particular case, we had some water, and I invited someone who wasn't a waterfowler.
That's always good.
I mean, this dude was a diehard deer hunter. I mean, he knows everything about deer hunting there is to know.
I've ruined several of them.
And I told him, I said, look, dude, if you come, you may never turn back. This is a dangerous sport. You love deer hunting, and deer hunting is amazing. And I do deer hunting, and Jeff does deer hunting. But I said, this sport could consume you. So I invite this guy along, and I won't name names at this moment, but he comes along, he spends the morning with me. And in my opinion, it was a rough morning. I mean, we sat around and watched the sunrise, and there wasn't much wind, and it was a bluebird day, and there truly wasn't that many ducks. But what ducks did come, we had them. We had them on a string because we had limited water. So what ducks we did get in, he got an opportunity. What I found out at the end of the day was what I consider a mediocre hunt was a world-class experience for this guy, because he'd never seen it. He'd never seen the beauty of the duck blind, the beauty of the sunrise, the decoys, the working birds, and you all know what I'm talking about. You got birds working. How many of you watch the birds when they're working and you're calling at them? You can't say that anybody that doesn't call ducks doesn't study ducks when they're working. You watch them. I can almost bet that you know what ducks are in that flock when they're going around the blind. You're already in your mind sizing it up. Oh, there's a widgeon, there's a pintail, there's some teal. These are all greenheads. You're sizing it up. The other people in the blind, they don't get that experience yet.
It's a duck.
It's a duck. To them, it's a duck. To you, I'm sizing this up. I can see everything because I'm the one calling the shots, so I got to be on my game. Well, the gentleman that came along with me was a little bit younger than me, but not much. And he literally told me after the day was over with, he says, I have never seen anything like that in my entire life, where ducks were working around you close enough you could see the color on them. I didn't know what I was looking at, but I knew they sure weren't all the same ducks. And he zeroed in on one thing. He said, what was the duck that had the long tail, and it was a long-shaped duck that flew real fast? I said, those are pintails. This guy glued onto those things. He said, I got to have a pintail. I said, we will work on getting you a pintail. Did we get him one during the season? No. So where's this story going? I know everybody's asking, what are you talking about? He comes back and he says, my whole family, my kids and my wife, they love to hunt. They love the outdoors. To me, that's rare. I see kids that want to do it. I rarely see spouses that want to do it. That's a rarity to me.
It's the getting up early part.
It's the whole thing. You're getting muddy.
Yeah.
It's playing around in the dirt. It's playing with a gun. It's being in the dark. It's peeing in the woods where most females don't want to pee. I'm okay with it, but
Yeah.
that's a different story. So I said, yeah, why don't you bring your family, man? This is like a slow duck season. This is a good season for us all to do it. It won't be terribly, it's not wet. We don't have to wait a long way. We can literally ride the UTVs right to the blind. It's not your typical duck season. So he brings his family. I meet this family at sunrise, and I don't know about you, but at 4:30 in the morning, I don't typically have a smile on my face. At that point, I'm still a little coming out of my shell for the morning. But they came out of the truck like people with total enthusiasm. They were fired up, ready to go. Didn't know what the hell they were getting into, but they were getting
They were
into it.
going.
They were going. And I said, okay, look, I'm going to try real hard to make this pleasurable, because some days it's not pleasurable, but we're going to work real hard today. I was honest with them. I said, we may kill ducks, we may not. And the thing that they said to me was, we're not here to kill ducks. We want to see the experience. Okay. Well, once somebody says that to me, I'm in. I'm all about it. They wanted to see the sunrise. They wanted to see, do ducks fly at sunrise? Do they want to see a dog? And this one's really good. You're going to love this. Do they want to see a dog sitting there with anxiety on them going like this the whole time watching ducks? Absolutely. They'd never seen it before. And we didn't shoot a duck for the first freaking hour, which to you and I,
That's a long time.
that's a long time,
Yeah.
dude. And an hour passes, and we get some ducks working. And I'm like bored as shit. So I'm like, okay, well, we got some ducks working. We're gonna get a few. It's gonna be good. And we had them circle. And I know you've done this, Jeff, and jump right in there whenever you want to. You got people with you that just want to pop right out. They're ready to go.
They don't know.
They don't know, and they're just fired up. They're ready to. I'm going.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, look, you gotta wait.
Wait for it.
You gotta wait for it. I said, if you just wait for it, this will be unbelievable. And they made that fourth spin, and you know what I'm talking about. You see an attitude in the duck.
Yep.
You know an attitude in the duck changes,
Yeah.
right? And as soon as you got them, you're like, oh shit, this is gonna get good. So the trick to getting good is to keep everybody from not moving. So I got them all on a leash, I'm like, don't move.
Don't
just
look up.
let them get in, And I had a 12-year-old sitting to my right, and I always put the young guys right next to me because I believe in safety, and I want to be right there so I can see it, not 4 or 5 people down. And that young man was sitting there. He was literally shaking.
But he was vibrating.
He was vibrating. That's a good way to put it. He was vibrating. And he never said a word to me because he knew when I told him to go, it was time to go. So we get these ducks in, and we get them in feet down just the way you want them, 20, 25 yards. It's like, let's go. It's time to go. I said, let's get him. He comes up out of there with a pump shotgun from yesterday, a long time ago, an 870 from a long time ago. He lit off his first shot, knocked a mallard down. Now, honestly, I don't know if he knocked it down or not because there were a lot of guns blazing, but I didn't blaze. I let him shoot. That young man had an experience out of this world. He dropped his first duck, and it was a hen mallard. And to you and I at 54, a hen mallard it's good, but it is what it is. In most cases, you and I might call that an accident, or we didn't think that through very well.
And I would love for everybody to get back to, and this is something from the 50s. They used to have a hen jar at these clubs.
Did you pay?
Every time you shot a hen, you probably had to put like 50 cents or $1 in this jar. Now, I'm sure at the end of the season, they probably donated that to DU or spent it on beer. I'm not really sure.
They probably spent on beer.
I don't know where the money actually went, but it was very cool. But back to new hunters, I love that. The look on somebody's face when they see that first flock. I took my cousin one time, and it was a bad day. We hadn't shot anything. And a flock of hooded mergansers dive bombed the blind. I heard them. It sounded like a car out on the highway off in the distance, and I was like, and it kept getting louder. By the time they went over, it sounded like a 747. There was like 50 of them. And he had never been duck hunting. He jumped out in the blind. He's like, oh my God, what was that? And I was like, that was a duck.
Did you let him swing back?
No, we did not shoot.
You did not shoot?
We did not shoot.
Well,
but another new hunter story. I took a guy that we went through high school with. He was younger than us.
Yeah.
And he was a deer hunter, but his son was really enamored with duck hunting. Really. And he was friends with my youngest, so I took him. And almost like your story, just not a good day. We didn't kill anything right away. I think we killed 2 ducks. I didn't shoot, we let the kids shoot. And the first retrieve, when I sent the dog, and the dog got out there and turned around and I gave it an over. The dad, the deer hunter, looked at me and was like, "Oh my God, you can talk to your dog?" Yes, I can. Which is a whole nother part of duck hunting, because there's just so many directions that duck hunting goes. It's not about just shooting ducks.
Yeah.
There's artwork, there's literature, there's volunteering, there's decoys and guns and ammo. There's just so many different directions to run it.
So Jeff, you just drilled on something that I'm going to invite a guest to this podcast, because there's so many different perspectives. I told you I'm going to have a young person on.
Sure.
I'm going to invite a female who's been waterfowling and get her perspective, which might blow you and I right out of the water, because we don't see it that way. I'm going to have a couple professional dog trainers.
Oh, that's awesome.
Perspective.
That's
I'm going to
awesome.
bring them to the table. These are great guys. They know what they're doing. This is their job every single day. I believe in them, and when I have them as a guest, you guys might see why I believe in them, because you're drilling down on a point really actually fantastic to waterfowling. That experience of going from a sporting person to an experienced person, there's a dog in the middle of there most of the time.
Yep, absolutely.
Usually it's driven with a dog. And from what I've seen from young guys and old guys and us age, the young guys believe in a dog, but they don't even necessarily enjoy the experience of a dog like we do. And I learned a lesson a few years ago too. I've always had dogs as tools, and I've had them over the years as tools.
Frontline conservation tool.
Yeah, they're right there. They do their job efficiently. They do their job effectively. There's no denying the dog knows what to do, because he's been properly trained. He's been in the experience. He's been in the game, right? So that is a piece of equipment. Now that might sound heartless, but it's not heartless. I love those dogs. It's not a matter of love. But they didn't necessarily love me, because they were in it.
No, I'm pretty.
That
sure,
was their life.
I'm pretty sure mine loved me.
Well, I think yours loves you more than most. But I came across a dog, and we'll get into that story later. But I came across a dog who went from he made that giant leap to me from a tool to not only a tool, but a dog that actually loved me back, which was bizarre to me.
Part of the family.
I'm not super affectionate. I'm not a guy that just walks up and hugs you for the sake of hugging you. A dog has to do something really outstanding to do that to me. And this dog did it. And I'm not sure he did it on purpose. I think it was all accident. But it's going to be an interesting story, because when I have that dog trainer on, we're going to talk about that story and his perspective as a dog trainer. And I think that most of the viewers need to know a little bit about you and I when it comes to dogs. So, best friends for life, right?
Absolutely.
We're complete opposites when it comes to how to go about a dog. And you know what I figured out? Neither way actually is what you'd call success. It's part of the process. You get a good side to one thing, you get a bad side to the other, and vice versa. Jeff trains his own dogs. And I've never had that experience, because I've never had the patience to do what you do. And to be able to connect with a dog and to be the dog whisperer. I've never been able to do that. I've always honestly
It doesn't work with every dog.
Well, and I've never experienced that. So I've always put the money down and said, let's go after a good one. And you'll find one. You've put the sweat equity into the dog to where he's literally a part of you as you're training him. And I can see it. I've seen it with your dogs. I've been there.
I've had some mean ex-wives that wouldn't let me put the dollar down to do that with that.
So I said, well, what are we talking about? And he told me the dad's lineage, which is a field trial lineage, upland hunting northwest from Dakotas.
Dakotas, yeah.
Dakotas. Mom was clearly in the bloodline. She had it all there. It was all in it. I looked at the bloodline and I said, hey, I'll come over, Jeff. Let's go over and check the puppies out. I made 2 dramatic mistakes. Number 1, I went there and looked at the puppies. Big fucking mistake. Because it's pretty hard to turn down a little tiny web-footed dog that's staring at you.
They kind of look like moles at
that
point.
like how do you turn that down? You know, now you're looking past, now you got to be a dog trainer to look past anything other than that little face looking at you. That was the first mistake. Second mistake I made, I brought my wife.
Yeah.
And she said, I would like for you to put that dog in the car and take it home. And I said, well, the dog's not ready. He's not weaned off the mom. It's not ready to go. I don't know a first thing about what I'm doing. I am going to have to learn really fast because I've bought dogs trained. And Jeff said, don't worry. He told me, he said, don't worry. This dog has it. It's in there. And I was like, okay, dude, I trust you. Been through a lot. I trust you. So I take this little tiny dog home who did not want to ride in the car, by the way. He did not like the car. Still to this day, don't like the car. I don't know why, but whatever. So I get this dog home, and I was a little unsure of myself, and I was a little hesitant about the whole thing. So I played with him, and puppies play it no matter what. You know, they'll play with you no matter what. I waited a few weeks, and I still played with them, and we did this and we did that. And I don't remember. How old were they when they were weaned from their mom? You remember? 9 weeks, 10 weeks?
I think it's 9 weeks.
9 weeks. So it was around that time. He was weaned away from his mom, so he's ready to go. I had him for 3 weeks, so let's call it 12 weeks.
Yeah.
So I took the advice of the trainer and everything else everybody sees on YouTube, and you can buy videos for, and you can do this, how to train your own dog. I took some advice, and I went in the hallway, and I got a sock, and I rolled a sock up, and I covered up the end of the hallway, and I put him in my lap, and I threw that sock to the end of the hallway, and I'll be goddamn that fucking dog didn't blast out of my lap like he was on speed. And he got that thing, and he came back, and he wouldn't give it back, obviously, but I could tell, you were right, he's got it in him. And it grew. It grew every day because of the timing. You
grew it.
Yeah, because of the timing. Like, you know, there's a couple trainers that I really believe in. I don't want to say their names, but they all believe in the same thing. It's connection with the dog, understanding the dog, and eye contact. And I didn't believe in it because I'm not a dog trainer. So I thought, oh, what the heck, let's do it. So I did the eye contact thing and connection thing. And this dog we're talking about, his name is Yachty, born right out of his father and the male. He's got everything he needs to do this job. The question becomes, am I going to be good enough to train him? And that's the question to be had. Everything so far says he's going to be a rock star. He's doing singles, he's doing doubles. You saw him, he's got drive out of this world. We're trying to get him in control. But point being, we have such different styles. He trains his own dogs, they work amazing. I buy a trained dog, it works amazing. It's a perspective. And that's what this podcast is all about, a perspective. There's no right way, there's no wrong way. It's your perspective and my perspective. And I really think that what's going to be extremely funny in the episodes going forward, honestly, I don't think the young guys are going to be that funny because they don't have enough experience to make it funny.
They've done plenty of silly stuff.
They've done silly stuff, but I think the old guys bring absolute humor to the table.
Well, okay, the young guys have 10 years of silly stuff. The old guys have 50 years of silly stuff.
You know, in 10 years, I don't know about you, but I mean, I've done a lot in 10 years, but I can only name on one hand how many times something was actually memorable in 10 years of duck hunting. That I could say, boy, I remember we almost burned a duck blind down, or oh, I remember we tipped over the Argo, or sunk the Argo. But those old guys, your dad, my dad, the other guys that are going to come on this podcast, they have stories that I don't think a lot of us are even close to knowing. It's not even the stories that you were present for, it's the stories that you heard. I remember there was a guy that had 2 dogs down at Charlie's, and he had a canoe. Never a good idea. A canoe?
A canoe. And he had like some kind of little outboard that fit on the back. It had a flat back to the canoe. And so he's going out in the morning, and it's, 40 degrees. Obviously there wasn't ice. And the dogs ran to the front of the canoe.
Dogs, plural?
He had 2 of them. He had 2 yellow labs, and the dogs ran.
Anybody else see anything funny about what's about to happen?
Yeah, boop, 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 boop. Right to the bottom.
Oh, Jesus.
It's a canoe. I saw a gal load 2 labs on a kayak at Horseshoe. Now, we were working on the blind, so it wasn't duck season yet, but it was early October. It was 40s, 50s. And she got her kayak out of her truck, drug it down the boat ramp, got in it, and whistled these 200-pound labs, and put one on the front and put one on the back, and then took off paddling. And she made it at least around out of sight where I couldn't see her anymore. And then I heard her screaming, "No! No, damn it! No!" Splash, splash, splash. And everybody was in the water.
Man. Oh, man.
Yeah, good stuff.
Well, I think we're all going to bring a perspective that most people aren't aware of. And, if they can, if you just take the moment, not saying we're experts, but just take the moment. Look at the experience.
Sit back and enjoy it.
And sit back and enjoy it, because the perspective of it is so amazing. It's something that we're all taking for granted. And I'm sure you are too, Jeff. I'm starting to enter the phase of my life where the experience matters.
Absolutely.
It's all about the experience. I've killed enough ducks in my life. I've handled dogs to retrieve ducks. I've done all the riding around on ATVs I want to do. I mean, I'm in it for the experience. And the more people that can be part of this sport, whether you're young, whether you're old, no matter where you come from, this sport needs more participants. It needs more people involved. Ducks Unlimited can always use more people to help. I know all the other conservation organizations say the same thing. And I think it's starting to cross-pollinate too. And it probably did in the past, but not as much as it is now with social media and all the advancements. But technology is causing deer hunters to look at duck hunting, and duck hunters to look at deer hunting and turkey hunting. It's all getting blended in together.
Yep.
You're an outdoorsman now.
Yep.
You're not.
You can buy one piece of property and do it all.
Yeah, you're not a specialist. I didn't buy this piece of property just for duck hunting. In our case, it was by accident. We bought ground with the intention to develop duck hunting property.
You got a lot of big deer on your ground.
Man, do we ever. And it was by accident. Had no idea. And then a couple of years ago, we realized we were starting to get turkey. So then it was all of a sudden, it was a new game.
Yeah.
And I think that perspective social media is changing it considerably in the aspect that when you and I were young, or even our dads, if you wanted to know something about a place, you had to go experience it.
Oh, yeah.
Now all you got to do is see it on your phone.
Yeah.
This is what's going on at this place.
You can hunt on the X.
You can hunt on the X. Good point. How has technology changed everything we're doing? Well, I don't know, Jeff. I mean, I think it's changed it. I'm just not sure it's actually made it better or worse. And the reason I say that is because of what you were laughing about at the beginning of the podcast. Yeah. The older guys had a generation.
The old ways work.
The old ways work. There's no doubt about it. And you and I are somewhere in the middle. We were children of the 70s to duck hunt, so we weren't really experiencing technology. We're still stuck in that old phase where our dads and grandpas said, this is the way we do it, this is the way we're going to continue to do it. We came up in the 80s, we came up in the 90s, and technology started to develop. Now you can see, you know where this conversation's going, so you guys know what technology in our world meant at that age. It made a spinning, rotating duck decoy.
That was a big one.
That was a big one.
I laughed. Well, what did you think the first time you saw that? I laughed.
I actually thought, I said, how is a duck ever going to love that? Because I didn't understand it. I thought it was a joke.
The guy next to me had one, and I laughed. And I thought, that's not going to work. And then I sat there and watched him shoot ducks all day.
Yep. And what I ended up finding out was, and I studied this with the Mojo guys, and I know there's a lot of people that sell rotating ducks, and to be real transparent with everybody, there's a specific manufacturer that I'm standing behind that we'll talk later, but the bottom line is Mojo jumped right in this.
Oh, yeah.
And Mojo knew something that everybody else didn't do. The pulse of that wing beat and that speed and that flash dictated what a duck saw at a distance. It didn't make it for closing a duck.
Do you remember the very first ones?
Oh, yeah.
The Robo Duck?
The Robo Duck.
Sounded like a washing machine.
Oh my God. It had a V-belt drive, and the fucking axles flipped and flopped and the metal
Wings
clanked.
Flying,
yeah. I mean, it was constant.
That was good stuff.
That was what, late 80s, early 90s?
Yeah, you got your steps in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, I got somewhere around there, but if you look at just a spinning wing decoy today versus 30 years ago, it's night and day.
Yeah.
And the technology is night and day. You can flip them on and off from a key fob. You've got advancements in the timing. You've got You've got everything to make it better.
Yep.
Is it proven to make duck hunting better yet? I'm still unsure, but I think we're going to look into some facts and figures and figure out if it really is. And if it is, hey man, I'm all for it.
I think it was, but I think the ducks have caught on.
Yeah.
At least some ducks. Teal love them.
You know, I've kind of become accustomed to understanding that, and maybe it's just opinion, so I want everybody to know that ahead of time. I think it has to do with the hatch. So if you got a lot of young ducks,
Yeah.
they've never seen it, it's going to be incredible.
Yeah. No different than snow goose hunting.
No
Have a good
different than
hatch,
snow goose.
The hunt's better.
That's a good point, Jeff. So you're jumping into snow goose season. All of us waterfowlers want to be snow goose hunters. We all want to be snow goose hunters because you all see the videos of what make a pile.
And it
shoot 'em out.
extends your season by 2 months.
It
3
gives
months.
it gives us the advantage of staying in that duck blind longer, not somewhere else where we shouldn't be.
See, at my house, there's only 2 seasons: hunting season and not
In
hunting
the off
season.
season. Well, that's kind of how it works in my house. And snow goose season has brought a level of technology that I would have never, and probably will never see. I mean, I was personally part of when the electronic collars were initially brought into play with the Johnny Walker collars. And that was so brand new in the mid 90s to a snow goose. They had no clue what they were hearing other than it was so real. They were coming to trash bags that were
You
on the ground.
could have made them circle a Walmart parking lot.
Yep, and you were going to bust them up and make them a pile.
Yep.
And now they've advanced those collars to the point to where I honestly don't know when a collar's on versus real geese. It's so unbelievable. It's amazing.
The first Johnny Stewart I ever saw was in my cousin's blind in Kentucky, and it was a record player.
Wait a minute. Now, let me just for the viewers. Your last name is Sukup.
Yep.
If anybody knows anything about Kentucky,
No,
you know that.
That's not where the Sukups are from.
Well, I've been to Kentucky quite a few times, and you're either a Sukup
Oh, that's Iowa. Iowa's full of Sukups.
or you're a Higdon.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some
I mean, there's a lot of people down in Kentucky that are diehard waterfowl hunters.
Absolutely.
And if I'm not mistaken, Kentucky was the goose capital of the world for a while. Southern
Illinois into Kentucky, Ballard County, they killed a lot of geese.
And so I had to laugh because most people don't realize, you listen to our names. It is Sukup here. If you know anything about the South, you know Sukup is all over the place. And it's a very inherent name to property management and crop production and crop equipment and all that stuff. So,
Grain bins.
Grain bins. I mean, you're talking it right now. And I think that, from a standpoint of duck hunters, I've heard this story from you, and I've heard it from our dads, but I can remember a story from a guy by the name of Merlenbach.
Yep.
And I was a little tiny fella. And I was in the blind with you and me and Merlenbach and your dad and my dad. And they talked about when they were kids leaping on a train and going to Southern Illinois.
Yeah.
On duck hunting.
Yep.
When the duck hunting was good.
My grandpa used to work on the train.
Yeah.
And they would all get on the caboose, and they would stop the train and let them off, and they would hunt all day, and on his way back through, he would pick them up.
There you go. I mean, that and I can't wait to have those guests on here because, in my heart, those are the things that are really great to know, and I want other people to see that. And, I've also, on the flip side of it, I've had some unbelievable experiences with young guys.
Yeah.
And the reason why I talk about that is they're so technology driven now. Like, what drives them? And they're right, 100% on. They can hunt accurately with technology. They can hunt specifically with technology, and they use it. I mean, I don't know how many hunts you've had with the young guys that are really pushing the limits, but I'm telling you, they operate by their phone and then by their equipment, and it's all about technology. And I've watched it work in person. I can say it's successful. I can say it's definitely in their genre to do that. It's not necessarily the way I hunt or our fathers hunted, but technology has brought them a new experience, newer than you and I. And
Oh, absolutely.
I want to talk about that just for a minute before we get off here, because we got just a couple more minutes, and then this thing's going to get wrapped up. And those new guys, their experience is so technology driven. For us, it's mind blowing when you go. You're like, wow. I typically I watch the weather and I know what the wind's going to be in the next couple of days, and I plan my efforts around that. They're down to the minute.
Yeah.
They're running and gunning by the minute. Man, the wind's going to change at this time in the morning, and we're going to get sunshine by that time. And if we get north winds on the right area, it's going to be good. And they know. They've got it drilled down, not because they know in their brains, but they know in their technology. Their technology told them to be hunting by this time.
Mm-hmm.
And you and I, we may or may not go that route.
It
depends.
I just roll the dice and I go every chance I get.
I roll the dice too, and I think that's a perspective. Those old guys, they all said the same thing. We're only hunting when there's a north wind. That's it. It's a north wind. We're gonna hunt when it's north. Remember those discussions?
Yeah.
They were so full of shit. They fucking hunted every day they could to get out of the duck blind. If it was 70 degrees, they were hunting. If it was 19, they were out of the house.
And it's funny that you brought up Merle. I got out of the Navy the same year he retired. And he retired right about the same time I got out.
91?
Yeah.
Or 90?
I hunted every day of duck season with that man. And it wasn't, I'm just going to hunt a north wind. He went 6 days a week. He took one day off to do his banking and take care of stuff. Other than that, he hunted every day of that season, all 60 days.
Jesus. Well, that's the group we're going to reach. We're going to group people. We're going to get people that comment and say, "You guys don't know what you're talking about. We hunt 60 days a week." You're right. We don't hunt. I don't hunt 60 days a week.
I'd love to.
I would love to.
I don't know if I could do it anymore.
I wonder some point. I mean, I'm not sure. I would love to. Do I have other obligations? Do you have? Yeah, we both do. But there's guys out there that get to do that, and they're going to be on this show to give their perspective of how it's going, how it's been, and how it's changing. And I think we're going to see a lot of information that the viewers are going to go, man, I had no idea that went on. I had no idea that those kind of things happen. I didn't know that. I mean, that's new to me. Oh, that's funny. Or, oh, wow, that's sad. I've got some experiences that you and I are going to share. We've lost duck friends.
Yeah.
We've lost duck hunting buddies over time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And man, if you're a serious duck hunter, you know what losing your duck hunting buddy means. And you also know that when you get to see a generation aging out of the sport, it's hard, man. It's hard.
No, I get it.
I know you've experienced it firsthand.
Yep.
And I rely on your advice and what you tell me about what's going to happen, and I believe 100% of what you're doing and what you've done. I know it's coming in my world.
Yeah.
And I know it's coming. You've been through it, and
sometimes some of those old guys just reach their limitations and they know it. My dad always told me when you quit duck hunting, they start shoveling in dirt.
Oh, wait a minute.
He quit.
He's been shoveling dirt in the yard for a while.
Yeah,
that's what I heard.
That's what he does all the time now.
Yeah.
He's just shoveling dirt.
Yeah. Well,
I thought it meant, you duck hunted until you died.
Well.
But, again, a different perspective.
I guess it's a different perspective. And does he live through your eyes?
Oh, absolutely.
Does he ask you how the day went?
How was it? Bring him by so I can get a look at him. He still likes to see him. I killed a couple bands one day last year. He's like, well, swing by so I can look at him.
Do you think there's any chance in hell we could get him to come on the show? Even if he zooms in?
Maybe if he zooms in, we'd have to get my sister on standby for technical advice.
Oh, that's true. I mean, I have that problem in my house too. Technology it's sometimes beyond me even.
Maybe.
Well, maybe...
He does like to talk.
To me, maybe is as good as it gets.
Yep.
A no is no. But I think your dad's going to bring a lot of entertainment if we can talk him into coming.
I think he might.
I think that my dad is very interested in being on the show, and I think we're all going to be entertained royally.
Mm-hmm.
And if we could pull this off right, if you know where I'm going with this, we could zoom the both of them in.
At the same time.
At the same time.
That'd
blow their fucking minds.
Yeah.
Because they're not technology guys at all. He's on that side, they're all on the computer, the two of us are sitting there drinking beer.
Oh, that would be funny.
Well, it would be funny, and
Dad's doctor told him he's only supposed to have like a beer a day.
Yeah.
So he asked if he could like save them all up for Friday. I think the answer to that was no.
Oh my God. Well, did you do it anyway?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's the whole point of this. So I want to kind of get circling back here because this podcast is going to go on. It's going to continue. Tonight is pre-recorded so that you and I can get good at this and edit out what other people don't need to see.
Yeah. Yeah.
And give them something they might be entertained by. But in the upcoming episodes, we're going to have guests. And we're going to talk to those guests about their experiences. They're going to share their experiences. We're going to laugh with them. We're going to appreciate them. I may even cry. Who knows?
We might even laugh at them.
We might laugh at them. I think there's a lot coming. And I think if we can really just work at the experience. Because I know in my heart, the older I get, the more I'm understanding this sport better. I'm understanding what it's all about. And I'm starting to really be put in my place, is what I want to call it, which is to understand it is important to kill a lot of ducks. You're in a certain age, that's your thing. That's your jive. You know, as you get older, you start to really understand what you're there for. It's a sport. You're there for the sporting event. You're getting good at it. You're getting good at it. Like, I don't know about you, but I mean, I think in my 30s, I became a better duck hunter than ever. I think I peaked in my 30s as far as being the duck hunter. By meaning, getting better at calling and getting better at setting it up and getting better at the actual execution of it. There's no doubt, to me, in my 30s, that was my point. And, in my 40s, I was starting to appreciate it a little bit better. And as I got later into my 40s, I started to understand there's an experience here, and I'm just not keen enough to catch it. Now I'm catching it. And back to when we were kids, and for the viewers, the real reason that I'm in this sport or this experience or whatever you want to call it is because in 1981, Jeff and his dad had a lease at a place not far from where we live. We didn't know one another. We didn't know this was about to happen. We were about to enter school together at the same time.
Rode the same school bus.
Rode the same school bus, had no clue. But our dads had met one another through work. And my dad was not an avid waterfowler. He was a weekend warrior. And Jeff's dad was a very avid waterfowler. And he invited my dad during a rough patch in my dad's life to come duck hunting. And he came. And
he liked it.
He liked it. And he liked it so much he wanted me to come. And at 10 years old, maybe that's what it was, 10 or 11, somewhere around there, I remember thinking, why do I got to get up at 3:30 in the morning? This is crap. So we get up at 3:30 in the morning and we go to Jeff's house and they're all ready to go. They got everything all set up to go and this and that, and they take us there. And, some of us can remember these things, some of us don't. But I remember that morning having hip boots on because I thought I was cool. And my dad said, the water's way too deep for hip boots. I'm gonna carry you on my shoulder. So I got up on his shoulders and he walked me out to the duck blind, which was about waist deep, where that place was. Remember that?
Yep.
Modoc?
Yep.
And he got me in the blind, and I managed not to get any water on me whatsoever. And it was an experience that now I understand a little better. And I was there with you, and I was there with your dad, and I was there with my dad. And at that time, Modoc was a wood duck haven.
Yep.
Remember that?
Yep.
They were like flies. And I got to shoot my first wood duck ever there.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it's mounted, sitting on my dad's.
Really?
Oh yeah. He mounted it because it was such an experience. And I had a single shot Winchester 20
I do
gauge.
remember that.
Yep. And shot that duck with you and your dad, and it's mounted at my parents' house right now. And that got us into it. And over time, it's like everything. It's like drugs, man. You just get addicted to it.
Yep.
Next thing you know, you're spending every dime you have on it and every moment you have on it, and it's your life. And you get to where you're going. And you and I have independently had experiences that are worth sharing. I think
Absolutely.
They're worth sharing. And I think during the next podcast, I'd really like to bring a young person in. And I mean young by 10, 12 years old.
Okay.
And I'd like to get their perspective, whether it's somebody you know or whether it's somebody I know, and sit them down and say, hey, we want to hear your perspective. What was it like what'd you enjoy? What'd you have a good time? What did you not like? What made it memorable? And hopefully we can capture viewers, because we all know that YouTube is about getting viewers. There's no lying about getting viewers. We want to get a lot of viewers. And if you click like and you click on this, you'll be able to get ready for the next podcast. And I want to take a moment to say thank you for everybody to take a moment to listen to this podcast, and especially thank you to my best friend of 41 years, because this crazy idea came together because he and I were bullshitting over beer and some other things going on. And I think that this could potentially have a lot of traction. I think Jeff thinks it so. I think we're trying something new to all of us, and we're going to get after it. And the next podcast is going to be twice as good as today's podcast.
And it's a great chance to sit down and drink a beer and talk about duck hunting.
Yep. And
two of my favorite things.
I think that is definitely two of my favorite things, and I'm starting to really appreciate it. The better I get, the experience is getting better. And
yep.
I want to take one moment. I'm not selling you anything, but I want to make sure that everybody knows this is sponsored by 6 Mile Slough Outdoors. Why is 6 Mile Slough Outdoors important to this conversation? Because it's the backbone of what we're doing. They represent and sell quality products in the waterfowl industry, and we all know what quality products mean. They mean rugged, durable. You're not going to have to return it. You're not going to have a warranty claim.
You're not going to have to buy it again next year.
You can shoot it and it isn't going to sink. You know what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
We're talking about the shit that doesn't go away.
Yep.
You want to buy equipment that's a 1-year piece of equipment, or you want to buy equipment that's a 5 or 6 year piece of equipment. 6 Mile Slough Outdoors specializes in just those quality products. So I want to thank them for just a moment. And finally, in closing, I know Jeff and I have a lot to talk about, and we talked a lot about it in the last few minutes, but this is going to get good. And if you don't know us, you're going to see the energy we feed off one another, and it could be most entertaining in multiple levels. So thank you everybody else for watching this, and thanks, Jeff.
Well, thanks for having me, Rick. And if you will click like, Rick will send every viewer a 6-pack of Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Okay, that got really expensive. Hold on a minute.